Hey everyone, MTashed here, and I was asked probably 300 or 400 times today, MTashed, who should I choose for the Stand By Me event? Which 4-star should I pick? Which 4-star are you picking? And this is actually a pretty big deal, because we have a lot of options here, and we have some really good options. We've got some very strong characters here. I want to give you some insight, I want to give you some quick reviews of each character, and I'm going to tell you who I'm going to get at the end. But I want you guys to try to decide for yourself, because my pick is probably not the pick you're going to want or you're going to need. And there's a few things that go into that. So I want to talk about, one of the main things is, who do you have now? I want you to think of this first. Who do you have now? Right? Everyone has a Xiangling. Maybe you've got a couple of these other ones. I don't know which banners you wished on. But I want you to look at your characters and I want you to make the decision now. Would I like one of those characters to be stronger? Do you already have a Xiangyun and you like Xiangyun and you use them? Do I want that character to be stronger? But the big thing is you need to actually look at the constellation you would unlock, because for some of them, it might be absolutely game-changing compared to others. So let's just jump into it. This video is sponsored by Displate. If you guys are looking for artwork, boys, this is the way to go. I just got my new shipment in and this looks incredible. Now, they actually print these on a metal frame, and they've even got the signature of the production manager on the back there. Now, I think that these products are pretty awesome because they're super easy to mount. They give you a protective sticker just like this, and you stick it on the wall. And then you take the magnet, you peel off the plastic, and you put that on there. And then you smash it on the wall, and it goes up in like 2 seconds, just like this. Look at this, it's just freaking magic. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at that. Now, there's a ton of art for different games you might enjoy or even TV shows, so go pick out some art today and you're going to get a massive discount via the link down in the description. The Tash Man has a special discount just for you. If you want just one display, you can get 20% off, but if you buy 2 or more, you get a huge 35% discount. This is kind of unheard of. Displate is hooking up my audience, so click the link down below and order some Displate today. It really helps me out, and you can get a great deal on some cool artwork. Thank you so much, Displate, for sponsoring my video, and let's get back into the content. Xiangling is a fantastic support, but she's also a fantastic damage dealer. If you are a free-to-play character and you have something like the Crescent Pike, she can be an awesome damage dealer. However, I know that many people use her as a support, just melt stuff, apply pyro, and if all you do is use her as a support, then, the next big thing is, do you want her to be stronger? But the question is, will she get stronger with constellations? Now, if you're in the situation I'm in, and you only use Xiangling as a support, if you are C1, C2 is literally useless for a support Xiangling. C2 only really works if you're doing an attack combo with her and using her as a main DPS. And so if you're in the situation where you've got C1, C2 would be useless. But if you're at C3 and you've got some Pyronado, level 3 or 3 levels on your Pyronado, and then your next one is giving you 40% duration, that is very different, right? If I was at C3 going into C4, that makes Xiangling super good. And so it's going to depend on your constellation, and I would recommend you go in and you look at these and you make that decision for yourself. Now, I'm going to go down the list over to Beto, because she is almost the opposite. If you have C0 Beto, right? C0 Beto, her first one, in my opinion, is super boring. The first one is like, do I really need that? Not really. It gives you some extra shield and some extra HP absorption, but there's some constellations that are not that impressive, and I would rather have another character or another thing. However, in the case of Beto for me, C2 gives a lot of additional damage, allowing her Q ability to chain to 2 additional targets. And so, it's really hard for me to recommend on these characters if I don't know what constellation you have. So my biggest recommendation is look at what will be unlocked and decide if that's a game changer for you. I'm going to go over some big ones on these characters. C2 for Beto is very big. C4 is also pretty damn good, especially if you're using her as kind of a main DPS, because you get that additional electro damage on her attacks. And then obviously the C6 is super good because you're reducing their opponent's defenses to Electro. She does a lot of physical damage, so, you know, it's not like, I don't know, it's not as godly as some people, but Beto's constellations definitely get better after you get that first one. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all going to be pretty sweet. But Beto as a whole, she is interesting. She has been viewed as a main DPS by a lot of people, but if you want to use her as a main DPS, a lot of the time, enemies get juggled too much, they get CC'd too much, or crowd controlled too much, and it's really hard to pull off good counters with her. There are ways to counter and absolutely one bang with her, but she's kind of meh for me. And so for most people, I would say that there might be more valuable characters out there, especially if you've never built Beto. Now, if you did build Beto, awesome, go get a constellation, you do your thing. But if you've never touched Beto, and you have never leveled her, or you don't really care, I'm not going to tell you to start. Even if you have a couple constellations, she's one of those characters that there's better supports in the game, and I think that there's better main DPS for right now. That's just my opinion. I don't want to sway you too hard. If you are invested in her like I am, you can go get a constellation, right? You can get some constellations, but those are my quick thoughts. Now, Shin Yan, she's an interesting one. Shin Yan is a very good support. You can also build her as a physical damage dealer. I think that she shines more as a support, but the big thing here is C2. I think that C2, it doesn't necessarily make or break her, but C2 makes her incredible because one of the main reasons why you would use Shin Yan right now is on floor 11 of the Spiral Abyss. She actually cleanses the Electro debuff, and by using Shin Yan, you have 2 chances of cleansing it if you get the second constant. So by popping your E ability, you get a shield, and it cleanses you, and it stays cleansed the entire duration. If you have Constellation 2, popping your Q gives you a full shield, cleansing you again. And so between the Q ability and your E ability, you can spam this pretty much 100% uptime. You can always be shielded. This is super good. It also applies pyro damage, and so you can melt shields and do a bunch of stuff. I think Shin Yan C2 is amazing. And so she's actually one of my contenders for people that I'm going to pick. Beto is one of the other ones, but C2 Shin Yan is it's insane. If you use Razor and you can get C4, this makes her an even better support for Razor. She's also makes her a good support for Beto. Anyone that's doing physical damage, or she just buffs it and can do more damage herself. And so this one is very, very good if you're potentially unlocking that. It makes her a valuable support. And then this last one here, this one's actually not that amazing. Honestly, C2 is amazing, C4 is amazing, and if you want some extra talents, that's cool. C6, I don't think is actually worth getting because it only affects your charge attack. And so if you're at C5, don't pick Shin Yan, in my opinion. I do not think it's worth it. I think it is literally a wasted pick, in my opinion. That's up to you, but I think that C6 is one of the weakest constellations of any C6 in the game because it doesn't really apply all that much. If you're using her as a main DPS, you go for it. If you're using it and you're using charge attacks, that's your thing. But if you're going to get a C2, C3, C4, or C5, definitely a solid pickup. Now, my boy, Shincho, still don't know how to pronounce it. I refuse to learn. He's awesome. He's awesome even at C0, but if you are at C0 and you can get C1, C1 is one of the best constellations in the game for him. C1 is incredible because you're getting an extra sword, which means more damage reduction and more healing, and it's just great to have that much more utility. It's like, I don't know, 33% stronger than it was, or 25% stronger. A lot of these other ones are just more damage. That's all there is to it. They're just more damage, reducing resistances or adding additional damage or giving you some more uptime. I would say that if you can get C6, if you're closing in on C6, C6 is very, very good for him. But C1 and 2, I think that these are pretty bread and butter. C1 especially. If you can get C1 Xingqiu, I think he's like very good, like top tier already. He's one of the better supports in the game overall, and if you need a water character, he's pretty awesome. I would recommend him in most content in the game, and I just need to build him out more. And if I could get a sacrificial sword, that would be great, but I don't have one. That's probably the only reason I'm not building him. He's very good with a sacrificial sword resetting his cooldown because it is kind of long. But if you have a sacrificial sword, I would go for him for sure. Ning Wang. Everyone loves Ning Wang. I've never built Ning Wang. I know that she's good. Geo is getting a buff. If you love Ning Wang and you use her as a main DPS, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't get more constellations. It's just going to add more damage. She's going to be more valuable. And that's just great. Now, the thing with Ning Wang is if you want to make her a main DPS, you kind of need C1 because normal attacks deal AoE damage. It makes it much more valuable when you do that. I can't really comment too much on her other than if you're at C0 and you want C1, that's going to be a game changer. These ones are all definitely, you know, like, going to help her getting the cooldowns and everything, but I don't know enough about her to advise. So, Ning Wang experts, you probably know the answer to this if you want to pick her or not, right? All right, Shin Yan, quick review. He is pretty awesome if you're looking for a support character to apply cryo. He works really good with someone like D-Luke because you can get the melt going on with the cryo and the pyro. He is absolutely terrible with someone like Razor because Razor does physical damage and Shin Yan turns everything cryo. There's a couple characters where he kind of ruins their damage because he makes sword, polearm, and claymore users. He makes them do cryo damage, and so it can actually tank your damage in some cases. I did a whole video on it, okay? Now, he's interesting, because if you do get constellations, you can be, honestly, like a kind of nutty DPS. This first constellation allows you to do a whole bunch of damage with your basic attacks, but he gets a lot of different cooldowns and recharge and everything from his other ones. And so you can kind of use him as like an ability spamming main DPS or just like a really hard hitting support. There's a lot of ways you could build him. I think he is a good character overall. And if you need an ice character, I think he does a damn good job at doing it. I personally, I don't think I'm going to pick him, even though I don't have him on my account. I don't think I'm going to pick him up. And the reason why is I don't really have a place for him right now in my teams. And I don't have I just don't have the resources to level him up. I'm sure I'll regret it one day. I'll be like, damn, I wish I had Shin Yan. He's pretty sweet. But I don't think I'm going to pick him myself. But who am I going to pick? Who am I going to pick? Again, these are very, very personal picks. It depends on your constellations. For me, the Shangling constellation is absolute butt. I have no reason to use it. Shin Yan, I don't have the resources to grind him up, and I just don't know if I can commit to it. As for Xingqiu, my dude is pretty strong, and he is a very high contender. Unfortunately, I don't have his best weapon, and so I don't know if I can utilize him to the level that I would like to. Ning Wang, awesome character, I just never build her, no plans on doing it. And now, I'm in the situation of making a very difficult choice. Now, with Beto, I would be getting C2, which gives me more chaining electricity, which would make her stronger if I use her as a support, but as a main DPS, it would just make her stronger as well, giving her a little bit more value. But Shin Yan would also be unlocking C2, arguably her best if you're using her as a support, because it applies to, you know, every team comp in the game. It gives her another way to shield, and it's really hard to not see the value in that thing. It's nuts. And I'm having a hard time because I have leveled up Beto, and I've used a lot of talent books on her, and I have gotten her really high. And getting C2 on her would be, like, very valuable. Like, it surely would. It surely would. But I'm leaning towards Shin Yan. Because in the old Spiral Abyss, cleansing was really important. Getting rid of the ice debuff was pretty much a make or break if you could beat it. And now in the new one, there's another debuff, which is the Electro debuff. And so cleansing that is almost a necessity if you want to use your Q abilities. And so I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards Shin Yan. She's a pyro character, giving me pyro resonance. And just having shields is really valuable. Having shields is awesome. And the cleanse, getting rid of those debuffs is even better. It's almost unavoidably good. At this point. So I think I'm going with Shin Yan, but I honestly am still a little bit up in the air because both would be so valuable for my team. This one, trash. I wish, but I can't. And then this one is like, I want it, but I don't know if I need it. You know what I mean? It's like I want it, but I don't have the weapon. I can't make it as good as possible. So there we go. I don't know if I helped you at all. I don't know if I helped you at all. I thought I'd give you my shot, my opinions, my quick reviews, my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.